This is Board Games Insider, the podcast that Tom Vassell said would never make it to 10 episodes.
This is Board Games Insider, where publishers Ignacy, president of Portal Games, and Stephen Bonacore, president of Stronghold Games, discuss the hobby board game industry from the inside, providing you with news, advice, and a look behind the curtain into both of their companies. Ladies and gentlemen, here are Ignacy and Stephen.
Hello, Ignacy, Portal Games.
And Stephen Bonacore from Stronghold Games and Indie Game Studios. Ignacy, this is episode 108. We're recording this on the 6th of June, 2009, and you couldn't record last week, so we got to blame you for not, putting out an episode because, you were at some small convention, someplace. What game? Where were you?
You are right. I wasn't able to record, but you are wrong. It is absolutely not small convention.
I know.
Of course, I was at UKGE Expo. Let us talk about this convention for a few minutes, but it deserves absolutely. So we were discussing it last year that UKGE Expo is growing. And I'm happy to report it's growing. It's still growing right during the last day of the convention. There was the information from the organizers of the convention that next year they're opening the whole new hall to have more exhibitors, for more space for exhibitors. Like basically, so many publishers and vendors wanted a bigger space for the next year, and there was a very clear message from UKGE Expo. Yes, it is going to happen next year. We are growing the space for you. So very good news for everybody who wants to exhibit at the convention. For us, for Portal Games, we were pre-releasing Roll and Write, and it was for us a sort of experiment. For the first time, we were having a brand new game released directly for UKGE Expo, and I'm happy to report, to tell to every publisher that operation was very successful. We sold nearly 250 copies of the Roll and Write, so this is a very good number.
Wow,
yes, it's a very good number.
Huge.
To direct customers, to fans of games. Very busy on first day of the convention, Friday, then Saturday. Sunday was lazy. Sunday was slow. You clearly could say from the halls that it is last day of the convention. Mm-hmm. But Friday and Saturday were absolutely crazy. I talked with a couple of publishers, and everybody was very happy with the convention. And one thing that is also worth mentioning, because what I just said is important for the publishers. Yes, I say, guys, come. It's important.
Right.
But for our fans, for just listeners, for people who are just gamers, it's also a very interesting convention, because in terms of the exhibiting space, of course, it is smaller than Essen, but still you have two huge, really huge halls to explore and discover, and so many different publishers, smaller one and bigger one. So for sure you have the whole days of just walking and discovering stuff, and this is similar to Essen. But besides that, you have the whole big program with the seminars. Essen lacks of that, with the role-playing games, with the tournaments. It was small version of the Gen Con, with a program going from the morning till the evening. At any point of the day, something very interesting was happening at the convention. So even if you're tired of already working, right, you just can go to the seminar, see Tom Vassell,
sure,
see Shut Up and Sit Down, see me. So many different people were just running events and seminars. And there was a Viking village in front of the expo, so that was very fun. And there was so many things happening. So full-blown amazing convention, strong recommendation as an exhibitor, and strong recommendation as a visitor.
That's great. That's really, really good. I really am sad that I was not able to go this year. We kind of changed at the last minute. We had a retailer there running our booth, so I hope people who are listening out in Europe did come and see some of the stuff that we were doing.
Yes, your booth was very close to my booth, so I was looking. It was busy all the time, so very, very good job for your staff.
Oh, great.
And
Thank
so many
you.
people approached me, first of all, to congratulate the podcast. Once again, super kind, super nice. It's unbelievable how many people listen to our podcast. And then so many people were asking, where are you and why you are not at Expo? I was explaining everybody that you are old and tired and you cannot make it. So I covered this.
Thank you very much. But the most important question, of course, is: did you get a lot of cookies, and did I get a lot of beer that was given to you to give to Mary?
Nobody trusted me on the beer thing, so there was no beer handed to me. But in terms of the cookies, fun or not story, it was too much for my suitcase luggage, for my weight of my suitcase. So I had to have additional luggage.
Wow.
5 kilos of additional cookies in a separate bag. Luckily, Mary covered that. Like, she was prepared for that, so I got a regular suitcase, and I had the right to have additional 10 kilo bag, and it was 5 kilos of cookies. Fun enough, believe it or not, security at the Birmingham airport stopped me.
I saw the picture.
Yes, and they were questioning what's going on. They were checking these cookies. It was hard to explain them that I'm a celebrity and I'm gathering cookies at conventions. So fun enough, security didn't know what's happening.
That's great. That's really good stuff. So thanks to the video that you sent me with you and Tom telling you how much you're not going to miss me. I like that. That was very nice of you. It was very cute. I enjoyed getting that. I retweeted that one because I thought it was so good. But so I can't wait to hear about the stats on the actual attendance and stuff, but I guess the UKGE will release that, at a later date. So yeah, that'll be great to hear. So tell me what's happening at Portal Games. That was a long beginning, but we want to hear what's happening actually in Portal itself now.
Yeah, I'm at this very moment working after hours to catch up after the convention. You know this feeling very, very well, as I assume. After each convention, you get so many follow-ups and business to do. So I'm working right now. My team, of course, is preparing the big thing for us, which is, of course, Pret-a-Porter Kickstarter. As I mentioned previously, this is our first Kickstarter. We are, lots of stress, lots of, we don't know how to do it. It's our first Kickstarter. There were so many people encouraging us that they are waiting for the Kickstarter, that they are waiting to back us. So, and there was very kind at UK Game Expo. But yes, we are now shipping preview copies to the reviewers so they can play the game before the campaign starts, and then we have these testimonials from the reviewers about the game. We are preparing right now assets for the game and description, etc., etc. So this is what's going on at the office at this very, very moment. In terms of the business, in terms of the boring street dates, surprise. Today I decided to be prepared, so I have my notes this time, like every other time I'm doing this. So yes, Pret-a-Porter Kickstarter, July 8th. This is the most important date for the whole team. Imperial Settlers Roll and Ride, our new game, Roll and Ride, a very popular genre these days, and Imperial Settlers, my strongest brand in the history of Portal Games. So these two matched together. Imperial Settlers Roll and Ride is going to be released worldwide this month, June 19th. So as I mentioned, we pre-released at the UK Game Expo. We presented the game with these 250 copies to the customers, but the regular release in stores, on the shelves, is June 19th. So very important for us. And in July, you also should expect the expansion for Alien Artifacts. I will be talking about it in upcoming weeks, because Alien Artifacts is a game that was released like 2 years ago, and in terms of our industry, of this amazing rush to the new titles, to the new shiny things, people forget that there was a game like Alien Artifacts, got a couple of nominations for the Golden Geek, got a lot of good feedback, but it's 2 years old, so I need to once again remind people that this is amazing game, and we have expansion for that, so people will be very happy. This is what's going on. Lots of things happening, preparing for the street days, preparing for Kickstarter, trying to clean my crazy inbox. Good stuff can I mention one more thing? This is just a spoiler.
No, not allowed.
When I came here from UK Game Expo, on my desk there was a gift waiting for me from my team, because I don't know if we already announced it. I think we did it, but if not, it is the first time. For Gen Con, we are releasing my first role-playing book.
Yes.
As a celebration of 20th birthday of Portal Games, which was one book that I wrote many years ago, and as a gift for our fans, hey, you can read what Ignacy was writing about role-playing games. And it is already printed. It was waiting for me on my desk, and man, I have to brag, it looks amazing. My production team was waiting for me to see this book because it's hardcover with some additional, enhancement of this production. Like, it looks amazing, and they were so proud. And I have to say, guys, amazing job. So I cannot wait to this book to show to everybody. But it was just my personal thing. I'm super proud how we did this book, and now I will be eager to get the feedback after the Gen Con, how people see me and role-playing games.
That's absolutely fantastic. And when is it going to be available for people to buy?
At Gen Con.
Okay.
At Gen Con, and I'm bringing these books there. I will be signing them. But when I saw it on my desk, it was like, oh my God, it's awesome.
Awesome. That is great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So what's happening over at Stronghold Games? We finished the Kickstarter. By the time you hear this, the Kickstarter for Ignacy, the second edition, Ignacy Shifting Sands, will be coming out. All those backers are going to love this game, so we'll be fulfilling that toward the end of the year. And by the time that we hear this, maybe a little bit after this comes out, we will be starting the next Kickstarter for the fabulous game, the original heavy Euro game, Die Macher, which I think I mentioned on the last episode, but if I didn't...
No, you didn't, because I heard about this game. It's like a Grail game here in Europe. I heard only good things about this game, and I heard for the first time from you, so I would know it. Like, this is an amazing game. So congratulations, sir.
Yeah, thank you. We're doing this with Spielworks, Ule Blenneman's company, which is a premier small German publisher. Die Macher, which is a very German name. It's about the German political system in their assembly, and you're bringing things up for voting and things like that. The cred, this is a real Grail game, and the one of the biggest cred on this game is that it is the first game ever entered into the Board Game Geek database. So, wow. every item on Board Game Geek has a number associated with it, right? Besides it having all of its stats, it has a physical number. This is game number 1 that Aldi put into the database back when he started Board Game Geek in 1999 or something crazy like that when it first started. So we're running a Kickstarter on this. It's going to start on June 18th, so a little bit after this podcast drops. So watch out for that. By the way, a very important thing, this is a limited edition. So what does that mean? If you want this game, you basically have to back it on Kickstarter to guarantee that you'd get it. We're not putting this game into distribution at least for a year plus after the Kickstarter runs. We're only going to put it into distribution, and we're only going to do it over a year later if the demand is there. Because this is a niche game.
Correct.
Being a Grail game, it's still a heavy Euro that takes, the original version was like a 3-4 hour Euro game. It has now been streamlined with some changes to make it a little bit more approachable, a little bit shorter, but you can play it the original way too. But that's one of the big things with this game. Game number 1 on Board Game Geek, limited edition for Die Macher, coming to Kickstarter on June 18th.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Ignacy. I appreciate that. By the time you hear this, we'll just be ending, or very close to ending, the Subtext by Wolfgang Warsch Store Splash, which has been going on for the end of May and the beginning of June. So that'll be ending, and we're going to be rolling out very quickly thereafter, starting on June 15th through July 15th, the next month-long Store Splash for Fine Sand by Freedom and Freeze. Now, we had this game at Essen last year, and then we actually released it like in March or April of this year, and now we're going to get it out there for everybody to play in about 100 stores across the U.S. So if you're interested and you want to try something different, this deck deconstruction game by Freedom and Freeze, deck building is over. This is deck deconstruction is what kind of the way that we promoted it. You can check that out during the end of June and beginning of July. Other street dates that are coming up and pre-orders. First of all, we have just gotten out the game Twice as Clever, which is Doppelt so Clever, the follow-on to Ganz Schön Clever. That just came out on May 29th. And Bricks, both of these games by Wolfgang Warsch. As you can see a trend here, both of these games roll-in rights. Bricks street dated on June 12th, which is right on the day that this is going to drop. Pre-orders will continue for Valparaiso, the medium weight Euro game. That's going to be coming out on June 29th. Dizzle, which will come out on August 21st. So that's not even tentative anymore. We've got that ready to go. And that's another roll and write game. As you can see, we've got this line of roll and writes going on. Encore, which was Nakmal. That's a September 4th street date. All of these are on pre-order right now. And Nakmal is the largest selling roll and write game in Germany, that's a cred in and of itself. And that's by Inka and Marcus Brand, famous designers. And then we are going to be releasing in September, end of September, a new edition of Diamonds, the great trick-taking game by Mike Fitzgerald. So that'll be coming out at the end of September. We'll put that on pre-order, but in a little while. It's not quite there yet. And I guess it's time to announce, since we did announce the distribution, a couple more games for October, and those would be Amul with our friends at Lauter Pellet. This is a card drafting game, simultaneous card drafting game that plays up to 8 players with lots and lots and lots of variability in the game, because you can bring out different types of trade goods that will be drafted. And it's both card drafting, tableau building, and hand management. You have to do all of those things correctly to score the biggest points in Amul. Unbelievable artwork in this game. The final thing I'll mention is Coffee Roaster, which is a solo game. This had come out a while ago, and with our friends at DLP Games, we're re-releasing it. This is a solo game, solo only. All new artwork, some tweaks in the gameplay, also going to be an October release for us.
Very good.
That's it. And of course, we're preparing for cons next week. By the time you hear this, I'll be at Origins, slaving away, trying to set up booths and starting to sell games. And then Dice Tower Con after that, and of course, Gen Con after that. I'll see you at Gen Con, of course, Ignacy, right?
Correct. Look at the Dice Tower, and me at the Gen Con.
Oh, great. Anything, no presents at Origins right now?
No. We are just sending our volunteers with a roll and write, because there was so many questions on Twitter. So yes, we will have some copies like in a games room, so people can play, but no booth, no exhibiting. We are focusing with the Dice Tower Con. Mm-hmm. We will have a huge room as last year, and of course Gen Con we have a bigger booth than last year. So. Focusing on these two next convention.
Oh, by the way, I'll give a shout out to your guys who were at BGG Con Spring running an event, right? They were running an Imperial Settlers event over there.
Our volunteers, yes.
So that was Paul Marchbanks and his brother. They did it for you, and I heard the reception to that was fantastic. So,
oh my God, thank you, so nice.
Good work for them, and I think that worked out great for you guys as well. So, all right, let's go over to the event deck.
The event deck. Here's the latest news from the board game industry.
So what do we have? Yeah.
My perception is that we record this podcast almost every week, trying to catch up with the news, and there's always more news than we can discuss. Like, this is insane, but we are in this hot period of the year, so many things happening. So let's try to move to as many news as possible.
First of all, we have Gamma. Hopefully no drama, but Gamma appointing a new deputy director. So, we had announced later last year that the new director was appointed, but now they have a new deputy director, and that's good because they're adding people. Her name is Chris Materney. She will head up the meeting and events team, which is very good because they needed someone that could basically focus on things like the Gamma Trade Show and Origins and Industry Day there. So that would leave the director to focus on the bigger picture, the Gamma as a trade organization for the entire industry. So I want to give a shout out to Chris Materney and to Gamma for moving forward and doing that for the industry, getting a solid events director for everybody to utilize.
Very good.
Also, we have PAX Unplugged. They announced their 2019 dates finally. It's funny that they announced dates much later, I think, than every other convention. Like if you go to the Gen Con website, the Origins website, you'll see dates for several years in advance. But PAX Unplugged, for some reason, doesn't announce dates until after their last convention was over. They've announced the dates for PAX Unplugged 2019 as December 6th through 8th, 2019. Badges go on sale. I've already been on sale. They started in May. And this will be their third year of PAX Unplugged, and it has been growing faster and faster and faster every year. Ignacy, any chance that we'll see a Portal Games present at PAX Unplugged?
I'm debating this. Like I was the first PAX Unplugged, and I absolutely loved the experience. And now I have this strategic plan to sit at home and don't move. But I'm so much tempted. Like I really like the city, like the atmosphere of the convention, how it was run. So I was contacted by organizers, and I'm debating it. So maybe I will be there. I really am afraid of this stupid flying, but PAX is absolutely amazing convention.
Got to get over that fear. It's I do have my own anxieties too, so I understand that completely. Yeah, and I think I mentioned this. I did when I came back from PAX Unplugged 2018, this previous December, that John Zinzer, the president of AEG, and I have a little bit of a bet on how big PAX Unplugged is going to get in 5 years, and he thinks it's going to be as big as Gen Con is now in 5 years. Gen Con, of course, may grow between now and then, but I took the it won't get that big, but I'll be happy if it does, because I'll be happy to have a dinner with John to see who's the winner of this bet. So that's a fun little thing that we're going to do. And PAX Unplugged certainly is expanding very, very quickly. So we'll see if it becomes as big as we all hope it will. And here it is. So we have a news, which is in German, so you're going to have to do most of the telling us what this means, but Heidelberg...
Because I live next to the German?
Yeah.
What's the
because
plan?
you have an office in Germany now, so you have to...
Okay.
All right, but I'll mention, so Heidelberger Spielverlag, which is the publishing arm of Heidelberger,
distribution, yes,
right?
Because there is now more distributor, yeah.
Right, so they they are a distributor, and they were purchased by Asmodee 2 years ago. But now Heidelberg, that's their publishing arm, has now spun back off into a separate company, which is very, very interesting. So Asmodee buys it all. And then basically the former president of the distributor / publisher has started brought back their publishing arm again. And Ignacy, you and I kind of spoke a little bit about this, but do you have any insight into how or why this would have happened?
It's what I already read in the internet is that they really wanted to do development, to do design, and they felt not very comfortable with Asmodee, and they decided, yes, we leave the distribution, we leave us businesses here at Asmodee, but we are growing our Heidelberger again as a company that will do designs, and they announced that they will, in the future, they will even be doing localizations of the games for German market. So basically, they're trying to resurrect the basic Heidelberger, as I can read it in sites in the internet.
Yeah, and it was just interesting that it was kind of a re-spin-off, right? So I purchased, and then they were allowed to leave, because Asmodee will have no part of the new company. So I'm very excited for Heiko, who is the president of this. I know he was very interested in doing more games and publishing more games. So good luck to him and his new team at the publishing company Heidelberg. So the next thing we have here is Gen Con is partnering with Alliance to bring convention pop-ups to game stores in August. So it's going to be like pop-up Gen Cons will happen at 40 stores across the country. So let me read this a little bit. Gen Con has partnered with Alliance Game Distribution to bring about 40 Gen Con pop-up events to local game stores across the United States during their August convention. Registration of these events will be available for a small fee and include a commemorative badge and an exclusive pin. Attendees will also have a chance to play and order Gen Con game releases before they hit the markets. So this is very interesting. So Gen Con is now, since they sell out and they realize that not everybody can go to Indianapolis, it's very crowded, that people can actually, at major retailers, major like the bigger of the hobby game stores out there, we're not talking about Targets and Walmarts and Barnes and Nobles. We're talking about the bigger of the hobby game retailers. They'll be able to create these events at their stores and have people go there and buy games even that may be released at Gen Con itself. What do you think about this? I'm excited about this too.
I see. Yes, I see it from the two perspectives. So first, it's absolutely amazing. We know that for many years there was this Twitter thing that Suzanne was doing,
right,
that was Gen Cant. So for the people who were not able to go to the Gen Con, they were tweeting about that and having like a virtual convention and playing at home and sharing photos, and it was their way to trying to participate in the convention. If your local game store can do such an event, and you will be feeling like at the convention, and you will be able to play these hot releases from the Gen Con. That's brilliant. That's changing the local convention, of course, a huge but still local convention, into the nationwide event. And for me, if I can imagine that I'm living in a city like Chicago or New York or whatever, and I cannot go to Gen Con, but I can go during the weekend to the store and feel the buzz. Brilliant. The question that pops up, pun included, in my head is that the Alliance will be distributing some games, and they say in the press release that you will be able to play these games that are going to be released at the Gen Con before it is street date. And as we know, at the Gen Con there will be about 1,000 games released.
Sure.
I guess in this local game zone there will be like 3 or 5 or 10 of them. So the question is if there will be Empires of the North there, or maybe no, I don't know. So the question is which games will be participating in this event, because to be, presented at 40 different stores during the Gen Con with all this hype is a great thing for the publisher, for the title. So many people will learn about this game. So great idea. And now some questions.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to know what's going to be shown off there. No one has certainly asked us if we wanted to have games there. Will it only be Asmodee games? Because obviously Alliance is very much in bed with Asmodee, though they, of course, distribute us as well. So it would be very interesting to see what's going to be happening. But I think in net, this is a really good thing to bring, the hype and the buzz of Gen Con, and that hopefully some of the energy to some of the biggest retailers that support the hobby out there.
Dear sir, we have to move on.
No, really?
Yes, we have to. Yes, we have to.
Oh my!
It's almost one. Okay. We almost talk about half an hour.
Oh my goodness! Blame Ignacy.
No,
everybody has to blame Ignacy.
Blame time. No,
blame time. Okay, let's go over to strategy and tactics.
Strategy and tactics. Some advice for you from Board Games Insider.
All right, so these are questions from our listeners who post on Board Game Geek on our guild there in the correct forum. So please, if you want your question taken, please find that guild, find the forum, and post there. So the first question is from Jay Wolski, superfan Jay Wolski, who's JW Ski. He has a lot of questions at this time. He says, you often talk of your evergreen titles, games that continue to sell regularly year after year. It gets me thinking, is there such a thing as a perennial title, a game that sells in bursts, maybe with respect to seasons or holidays or periodic occurrences? Ignacy, do you think we have that kind of thing? Or is it simply you have the evergreens and basically they sell across the entire year? But, of course, they sell more during the holiday season.
Me, as a publisher, as a Portal Games, we don't have such a title in the offer. But here in Poland, there is a couple of publishers, especially company Egmont and company Nasza Księgarnia, who are doing that. And as far as I know, they are very successful. For example, there was a huge football event, World Cup, big event about the football, and for this time during the summer they released the board game about the football, and as far as I know they sold like ton of these games during this 2 months period, and then the game was no longer in the stores, or maybe was selling very, very bad. And then 4 years later they reprinted the game once again precisely for the tournament. And the Nasza Księgarnia, the other publisher, last year they released the game, and now be careful, the title of the game was Christmas Tree. And the whole game was about decorating Christmas tree. And I talked with, these are my friends, so I talked with them and they were so scared because it was printed in China. If there is any delay, and the game, will reach the warehouse in January, you have no sales.
That's right.
Right? This is ridiculous, right? So there were a lot of stress involved. But yes, I talked with them, and there was a huge hit during the Christmas season, Q4, and they have a game called Christmas Tree. We are decorating tree. It was amazing, very good sales. So I don't do it personally. Like, I strongly believe, like, I want my Robinson Crusoe, I want my Imperia,
Right.
I want my Evergreen. But if you have a good distribution, if you have a good sales team, if you can pull off like short time but very strong sales dedicated to some sort of an event, I think is worth considering. And I see companies in Poland doing that with success.
Yeah. So listen, JW Ski, Joel might be onto something here, that, if you can find something that themes around an event, obviously an annual event like Christmas, or the World Cup, which happens every 4 years, right?
Every 4 years, yes. And everybody's excited. Everybody's talking about the football, and you have a football board game. It is awesome, right?
If that would work, that'd be good. Now, I don't have one, and you don't have one, so maybe we got to start thinking about what would be the next great one to do, and then we'll sell it once a year or once every 4 years. Pretty interesting concept. Benjamin Nicholson, who's BL Nickel on Board Game Geek, says, "I've noticed Portal Games has started making plastic inserts for their games, starting with Alien Artifacts. What's the change? Why does a company go with a plastic insert over a cardboard insert? Is it to increase the quality of the game or more protection when the components are shipped compared to cardboard? And how much effort does it take into making that plastic mold?" Ignacy, they mentioned you, so why don't you take this one?
Yeah, so many questions in one question. So what's the change? The change is that we as a company is growing, and we are having bigger print runs. And with the bigger print runs, you can afford plastic insert, because we have to remember that the production of a plastic insert is not that expensive, but you have to pay for the mold first, right? And the cost of the mold is very expensive. So if you are doing a small print run, it makes never sense. But if you are printing 10,000 copies or 20,000 copies of the game, this mold cost is slowly vanishing if you compare it to the whole print run. So what changed? Company grew. That's the first answer. Now, why we go with the plastic insert? Players love plastic inserts because they organize everything very cute and very nice, and you have space for everything, and you don't have to use zip bags. So players appreciate the plastic inserts, and we want our players to be very happy. With the newest game we are releasing at Gen Con, Empires of the North, we went even a little bit further, because there are two plastic inserts in the box. The one that stores cards, and the other one, the smaller one, that you can pull out of the box. And it is perfect for the setup of the game, because it stores all the wooden pieces. So at the beginning of the game, you're just pulling out of the box the small plastic insert, and everything is already set up, ready to play. Once again, two costs, because two molds, so it was even more expensive than regularly. But in terms of the setup time, the setup takes 1 second. You are just taking the insert, putting on the table, and you are ready to play. So once again, I assume players will appreciate that. But I can afford it because I do print run for America, and print run for Germany, and print run for Poland, and print run for United Europe, etc. So now I can afford it. 5 years ago, it was impossible for the company.
That's You gave all the correct answers. It's A, the print run size is gonna be the deciding factor, and B, you also want to do it for games that make sense, where a storage solution makes sense. I don't think that most games need it. I don't think that most Euro games really need that kind of thing. I think that for games with cards and certain like factions have to come out at a given time, that's when it kind of makes sense. But in all cases, you need to do it when the cost makes the most sense. Russell Wheeler, who's Wheeler Russ on Board Game Geek, he has two questions, one for each of us. Ignacy, not really a question that needs an answer, but since Portal created Portal Games Digital, I've not heard anything about what you've released. Well, this is an older question. You have already done some stuff.
We did release Tides of Time app, but I have to confirm that our marketing with this app is not as good as I wished. But there's so many things happening, and we are basically not having enough time to promote, to release videos, to release teasers, etc. So yes, the app is released, is amazing. It had a very good reviews. You can check it on your iPhone or your Android device, Tides of Time. But I confirm that there is not enough marketing buzz on our site. I just need more people in marketing department. That's as simple as that.
You need the bigger marketing department. That's it. And he's also asking me about Terraforming Mars, which is out, and if there's anything else on my catalog that would be coming out. We tentatively have something for Survive, Escape from Atlantis, but it's so tentative that it doesn't even make sense to talk about, so sorry. One more question, then we'll move on. It's going to be a quick one. Kevin Warrender, who's Jerkools on Board Game Geek. Do you think there will eventually be a Kickstarter equivalent website that deals with board games only, or is the Kickstarter brand too popular to ever have serious competition? And yeah, it's the latter, Kevin. Kickstarter is too big and eyes are focused on it. There are some, actually, there's like Indiegogo, but it's so much smaller. And there's an Italian company, they call it UKGE Starter, which UKGE is game in Italian. But those are so small that nobody's going to go there, nobody's going to look at it, and they're only looking at Kickstarter. So we are on Kickstarter forever. I think that's the way it's going to be.
Additional fact, so you get some small bits of information from smaller countries like Poland. So in Poland, we have our own version of Kickstarter. It is called I Support That.
Ah, there you go.
And it is Polish crowdfunding platform, and it was, of course, having a category for board games. It was quite successful, many games backed there. And 2 years ago, a new platform emerged, and it is called I Would Play That, something like that. If you translate it, of course, yes. I Would Play That, and it is a dedicated crowdfunding platform only for board games. It is very successful here in Poland, but there is one small thing. It was created by the most famous YouTuber about board games in Poland. So sort of like Tom Vassell starts his own crowdfunding platform. He has the skill to create a great video. He has a lot of fans, and followers. He has a huge YouTube following. And when he started his own platform, there's so many people who watch him and started supporting games. He's very great in promoting games. So actually, in a small country like Poland, we do have a crowdfunding platform only for board games and very successful.
Very, very cool. But it's not going to be useful. Yeah.
But in America, of course, Kickstarter is a no-brainer. It will be forever.
It'll be there forever and ever. All right, I think we have run out of time here, so let's go over to the final scoring.
Final scoring. Let's find out what's happening at Portal Games and Stronghold Games.
Everybody, as usual, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Please tell your friends about it. It makes us very happy to hear these great things when at conventions and people keep coming up to us and thanking us. Post those questions on our guild, Board Games Insider on Board Game Geek. And we have a Facebook page just for the podcast. That's Board Games Insider. And remember all the social media for the companies. We have on Facebook /Stronghold Games and /Portal Publishing. The company website is strongholdgames.com and portalgames.pl and the new portalgamesus.com. And, of course, Twitter. Talk to Ignacy and Steven directly at Stronghold Games and at Chevychek. And on Instagram, it's the same. And we both have pages on YouTube. Upcoming conventions, we've talked about them already. Can't wait to see people at Origins and Dice Tower Con East. And then, of course, you'll see both of us at Gen Con. That's going to be great. Anything else we want to share? Ignacy, anything secret?
I might have one surprise for our fans.
Oh, let's hear it.
For this UK Game Expo, we did for our Roll and Ride a special board with the buildings, with the abilities and buildings dedicated to England. It was a Stone Age, there was a Tower Bridge, there was all these kind of nice buildings. And of course, people were very excited and very happy with that. So I'm happy to announce that for the Gen Con, I will do something like that again. So for Gen Con, we will have a special board dedicated to Indiana and America. And in general, it will be available at our event for Roll and Ride. So thank you for the feedback from England. And everybody in America should thank British fans because the feedback was so positive that we are doing it once again, and now we will doing it for Gen Con. So one special board for Roll and Ride from me, designed especially for Gen Con. I confirm it it's because the feedback in UKGMS was absolutely stunning.
That's a great one. Whoa.
Yeah, that was really nice when people were really appreciating that we designed special buildings that match the country, and they were thanking us, and they were very kind. I said, okay, let's do it for another convention. So
Excellent.
Here we are.
Ignacy, that's a great little piece to give everybody about both UKGE and about Gen Con. So everybody, thanks again, and we'll see you hopefully in just 1 week. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Board Games Insider with Ignacy Cevicek and Stephen Bonacore. Board Games Insider has been made possible by you, our listeners and hobby board game enthusiasts. Ignacy and Stephen thank you greatly for your support of their companies and the hobby board game industry. Follow both Portal Games and Stronghold Games on Twitter, like both companies on Facebook, and sign up for their newsletters on portalgames.pl and strongholdgames.com. Please join us next time on Board Games Insider.
You're listening to the Dice Tower Network, the home of smart people, insightful board gaming commentary, and Ignacy Cevicek. Find out more at dicetowernetwork.com.